The following program is intended for mature audiences.
TBS, America's #1 independent television network, presents the following sports exclusive.
You're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes.
And check out every episode of the show at basicallysports.tumblr.com.
Now here's your hosts, Zach,
Greg, Mike.
And you're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
The absolute worst!
Congratulations are in order.
This is such a weird feeling.
Yeah?
Will more Canadians watch the NBA Finals or the Stanley Cup Finals? No, sorry, I screwed it up again. Will more Canadians watch the Finals or the Stanley Cup Final?
Oh, I think the finals, definitely.
I had to get all the trademarks correct. The NBA is just the Finals.
Yes.
The Stanley Cup Final.
So yes, it is the Stanley Cup Final. Yes.
I think you're going to have, because first off, all those people in Toronto hate the fucking Bruins, so they're not going to want to watch that. And Toronto's in, and that's going to be, all of Ontario is going to be behind that. So I think easily the finals.
Yeah, the Blues have 19 Canadians on the team.
Yeah.
A very Canadian roster. And,
I also think, if I'm not mistaken, isn't this Mike's first trophy for the Bass Trophy case?
Since we started doing the show, yeah.
Eastern Conference Championship, yeah.
Yeah. We're not counting divisional banners. Then,
I figured like this. To make the trophy case, it's got to be either a conference championship or a championship. None of these, none of the division shit.
And this is the first time one of my teams has made the finals since a few years back. The Hamilton Tiger Cats made the Grey Cup.
Well, we'll count that. We'll count CFL.
Unless we forget Mensch on a bench.
Mensch on the bench, of course.
Yeah, that's a GTOB, separate entity. I'm talking the sports stuff.
I'm not used to my teams playing for championships, so...
We'll give the Ticats, though. I'm going to give the Ticats the nod because I think we can count the CFL, since we are, in fact, an international show.
The Ticats couldn't pull it through, though, but, yeah, the Raptors.
Are you excited?
I am. I still don't really know how to process it. Really? I still can't really believe that the Toronto frickin' Raptors are playing for the NBA championship. That seems absurd to me. I got this really weird relationship with the Raptors. When I was a kid...
Going way back to the very beginning.
And just getting into sports, this would have been during, the MJ second three-peat. So we're talking 96, 97, 98. And the thing is, and this is shameless, but, the Raptors as a team were founded right at the perfect, I was the target demographic for that blatant Jurassic Park, kind of cash-in. I really loved dinosaurs. I loved Jurassic Park. And then the Raptors came around, and they were my hometown team. So it was just, the perfect confluence of events. I was primed for that. So I've always, I've always been a Raptors fan, but between the NBA just being so boring at times and the fact that the Raptors constantly underachieved kind of had me turned off to them, I guess. They made this run, and I did the thing I always do where I kind of, had one eye on them in the playoffs, and I was like, all right, well, we'll see what they can do. I expected them to beat the Magic. I honestly expected them to lose to the Sixers.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a shocker, I think. I think the Sixers were, a lot of people, they were like a trendy finals pick.
They probably should have lost the Sixers if it wasn't for Kawhi's miracle shot.
I know, right?
Well, no, they would have just gone to overtime if that didn't go in, right?
Yeah. Then, on top of that, I figured, well, I don't really like their chances against the Bucks. And they went down 2-0, but they probably should have won game one. They blew that. But I figured when it was down 2-0, I mean, best case scenario, honestly, my heart of hearts, I'm like, best case scenario, we tie it up in Toronto and then we lose the next two. But then after Milwaukee goes up 2-0, they won 4 straight. And yeah, no, a lot of that latent Toronto Raptors fandom that I had over the years that I had, that, had just sort of not mattered kind of just came back to me. So I'm psyched. I'm excited. I still don't believe that this stupid team with their stupid dinosaur mascot that I was a fan of for all these years actually managed to win the East, and it's been fantastic.
This team that is the source of one of the greatest gifts of all time.
The mascot faceplant, right?
Right, yes. No, I think it's pretty exciting. And like I said, we were talking earlier, I read an article that actually put together a fairly decent case where the Raptors could pull this off. Now, I'm not going to predict that they will. I think it's still a huge mountain to climb to beat the Warriors. But it's not out of the realm of possibility. It's not as hopeless as I think we made it sound last week. I think they got a shot. Now, how good a shot is anybody's guess, but they get game one, get in the Warriors' heads a little bit, and you got Kawhi Leonard. You've got this Lowry character. They've got some good ball players.
Yeah,
I think KD, is he still out for the Warriors?
He's out for game one, but he will travel to Toronto.
Yeah.
So I think that's a key here is that the Raptors have home court advantage, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I think if we've seen the Raptors come back in these playoffs. It's not unheard of. But if the Warriors do what they need to do and at least split the first two games, then it's over.
Then it gets tough, yeah.
Yeah, because then the next three are at the Oracle, where they're very tough. If Golden State can win both of the first two games in Toronto, then there's no way.
Yeah, there's no way.
But I mean, the Raptors did beat the Warriors both times they played this year, right? So
and the Raptors
they are 2-0 against them.
And the Raptors beat, I think, a pretty good Milwaukee Bucks team.
By the way, I just want to laugh at all of these American sports pundits who are acting like a foregone conclusion that it was going to be Bucks Warriors. That's another thing that makes this really sweet for the Raptors is that, like, this is a team that has been constantly ignored by the American sports media. They're always kind of like this oddity in the NBA that no one ever really gives much of a chance to, so it was great to finally see them put the Bucks down.
People see them kind of as a very good competitive stuff team. Mm-hmm. It would be I think the general consensus on the Raptors. They aren't, and it could be just simply because they're in Toronto and Americans are so America-centric, they just don't care or whatever, but as good as the Raptors have been, and they've been consistently good for a while now, they are rarely, if ever, mentioned with the top teams in the league.
I think that's because with them being in Toronto, like, no offense, Mike, but I mean, you see this with the Blue Jays too. A lot of people think that those one-off Canadian teams in MLB and in the NBA, they have a certain ceiling, right? Mm-hmm. Because players don't want to deal with the visa stuff. They don't want to have to play in a different country. Right. They don't want to have to deal with the taxes and whatever. And, it gets cold there and this, that, and whatever.
It gets cold.
Plastic money.
Yeah, money
that
smells like syrup.
Yeah.
What's wrong with now you're crossing a line. All right, what's wrong with our Tim Hortons and our plastic money?
Nothing. There's no bigger fan of your country than me. I love Canada with all my heart.
It's a very fine place. I would love to live there myself. I'm just saying, professional athletes. Yeah. When there's only one team that is not in the same country, they don't like playing for that one team necessarily. Mm-hmm. So I think they always thought that there was like a ceiling. And even now, you see people looking at this and saying, well, they got to do it right now. If they're going to ever do it, they have to do it right now because Kawhi's not staying. So, or at least they believe he's not staying.
Well, apparently,
so you got to strike while the iron's hot. So
apparently, there are a lot of like high-end restaurants in Toronto who have flat out said that if Kawhi Leonard re-signs with the Raptors, he will eat there for free for like the rest of his life.
Well, he's already a hero, right? Yeah.
Apparently, there's a real estate firm in Toronto that's like, we will buy you a $3 billion penthouse, like, if you stay.
See, I don't understand.
Well, he's a basketball hero.
Yeah, he is.
Combined with that shot and taking his team to the finals, like.
I understand the tax issues. I understand the visa issues and all that. The one thing Toronto is a fantastic city.
Oh, yeah.
If you like New York.
Global city.
Yeah, if you like New York, Toronto is New York except cleaner and nicer. It's not like you're playing in Thunder Bay or somewhere, and I don't know, Thunder Bay may be wonderful too. I'm just thinking of a small town, but or one of the places that we make fun of in the Glorious Tournament of Victory. I mean, Toronto is like
Manitoba.
Yeah, Toronto is a world-class city.
I think it's like the 4th or 5th largest city in North America. So
yeah, it's a great. I mean, I love it. It's a great city. Like but if you said, Greg, would you rather go to New York City or Toronto? I'm taking Toronto every single time. It's just that simple to me. I love Toronto.
Plus, you play the Raptors. You don't have to play. You don't have to deal with James Dolan. So
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah. But Kawhi's been linked to the Lakers since he was with the Spurs.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's from Southern California. He grew up in Southern California, went to school in Southern California, went to San Diego State. He's a Southern California kid. Mm-hmm. And I would imagine that coming to the Lakers and, I mean, really saving them because, oh, God, what a mess they've turned out to be.
Yeah, I was going to ask, you right now, with the shape that team is in, do you really think that they are, I mean, they're still the Lakers. There's no way around that. They've still got LeBron James, but if you're looking at it seriously, there's a lot of reasons why you might not want to go there.
Oh, sure.
It's a mess right now. I've never seen this organization this much of a disaster as it is.
And, I mean, there are plenty of arguments for Kawhi to stay, basketball-wise, too. Like, you look at the way that team's built, with the way that the East is. I mean, they're still going to have to go through Philly and Milwaukee, in the next few years. But if, Golden State can't do this forever. No. So, in theory, you could get back there and maybe win, if not this year, next year.
Well, see, I think this is pretty much it for the Warriors because KD's probably going to leave. Draymond Green's a free agent.
They're probably better without Kevin Durant.
Yeah, see, I've heard that argument. I don't buy that. I think they're different. Here's what I think it is. They're very, very good. They're the best team in the NBA by a good margin. And when KD's out, they're still good enough to beat anybody else. So it gives you this illusion that they might be better. No, they're just that good.
Yeah, they're the best team in the league and then adds an MVP.
Right. I can't buy the argument that any basketball team without Kevin Durant is better than it is with him. I don't know. I mean, maybe we'll see. But I don't know that I buy that argument. But he's going to be gone.
Well, whatever happens from this point onward, I think Kawhi Leonard has eclipsed Vince Carter as the most beloved Raptor of all time.
Oh, sure.
That was this run has just been unbelievable. And by the way, Skip Bayless whining about how
number two,
it's like, I guess crime does pay. And it's like, get the fuck over yourself, man.
Speaking of crime, by the way, congratulations, Toronto. Despite filling the streets with people after winning the Eastern Conference Final and celebrating into the wee hours of the morning, the Toronto police made 0 arrests.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Look, I'm not saying Ontarians are morally superior people, but the evidence just bears that out.
I don't know if they're morally superior to everyone, but they're morally superior to Philadelphia. I'll make that statement. They're morally superior to Boston
and Vancouver. I want to say Vancouver. You're letting us down. You're letting us in Canada down. I guess in Toronto we just have to pick up the slack on that one, but that's all right.
Well,
yeah, Skip Bayless. They are
the only Canadian city to lose an NBA franchise. So.
On Awful Announcing, there's one of the stories is Skip Bayless is being a creepy weirdo about Kawhi Leonard and probably needs to go log off for a bit. So it sounds like he's really spit the bit here and gone over the edge, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's gone back since right before the Spurs traded him.
Mm-hmm.
Where he when the Spurs lost the playoffs that year, he essentially accused Kawhi of quitting on the Spurs. And then he got traded, and after he got traded, he only referred to him as number 2 for the rest of the year. So, yeah, Skip Bayless, great guy, as we talked about a couple weeks ago. This is great. It's awesome for Toronto.
I think so. I think it's great. I think it's great for Mike to have one of his teams get in.
This is so. It's great.
It's distracting everybody from what a collapse the Maple Leafs had, and how they're going to lose Mitch Marner in free agency.
Zach's very good at getting in those like right when you're feeling good about yourself, he comes in and takes you out at the knees.
No, but the Raptors, Mike. The Raptors. Don't look at the smarter. The Raptors.
Yeah.
The Leafs will be fine.
When does the series start anyway?
We got Matthews. Got Babcock will be fine. But no, it starts Thursday. The NBA.
Thursday, yeah.
What are we waiting for?
Big breaks between both these finals. Like it took the NHL finished on what, like Wednesday of last week?
I
Tuesday?
was surprised the NHL waited until yesterday to get started. I really thought that would be.
They wanted to wait until Memorial Day, but it's like, why not start on at least Saturday, like Hockey Night in Canada? That seemed like the perfect time to start your series.
That's kind of what I thought too.
What do I know?
Well,
and the other thing is, like, if that Bucks Raptors series had gone the full 7, that Game 7 would have been on Monday night.
Mm-hmm.
The same time as the Stanley Cup game.
Yeah.
So they kind of lucked out in Canada to have that thing, ratings-wise at least.
Mm-hmm.
I will be curious to see, though, which one gets more attention. I think it'll be the Raptors, and I think by a pretty good margin. I really believe that.
I think the thing to remember, too, though, is, like, I've seen a lot of those stories where who's going to outdraw? They're played on separate nights. Like, they're never going to overlap like that.
Right.
So if you're Canadian, you're a hockey fan, and if the Stanley Cup's on, you're still probably going to watch it. So it's not like you're not missing any Raptors time to watch the Cup.
I'm trying to think of a comparable situation where, like, if the World Series was on, but see, there's really nothing because none of my sports overlap like that.
World Series is on, but
like if the Cavs, if the Cavs were on and playing in the finals, I'd be watching that over the Stanley Cup. But I'm American, so that makes sense. I don't know. I guess I can't come up with a good comparison, but I do think that the Raptors, why not be able to watch both? And then at the end of the day, who cares who watches more of which? It's going to be great for both, I think.
Well, Mike,
yes.
as you know, the nation of Canada invented basketball, right?
We did, yes. So,
is it fair to say it's coming home?
It's coming home.
Is this
home?
Is this the first truly international finals in the NBA?
Yeah.
Because I know that there was those crazy days back in the 50s or whatever where teams were all over the place.
No. The NBA never had any. I mean, there was the Toronto Huskies, but they weren't an NBA team, right?
Okay, yeah.
No, they technically were.
Oh, were they?
They were in the BBA. But that is the NBA's old name. So
right, it's like the pre-merger NFL.
Yeah, like the Toronto Huskies actually played in the NBA. The NBA's, like, if you go by the lineage, the first ever quote unquote NBA game was actually between the Toronto Huskies and New York Knicks. So
I just was checking to make sure we didn't have a situation where Seattle has a Stanley Cup that no one knows about.
I mean,
Seattle does.
They do.
Yeah, I know.
No,
that's what I'm saying. I didn't know if there was something a situation like that going all the way back to whenever. No, that was my reference. Was Seattle in that cup they won in 1903 or whatever it was?
There hasn't been any other teams besides the Grizzlies, Raptors, and Huskies, right?
Yeah, those have been the only Canadian teams.
Yeah, Montreal never got involved, or
I don't know why Montreal doesn't. They never took a shot at expanding into Montreal with basketball.
You have to have somebody that wants it.
Yeah, I don't see that being a good basketball market. Yeah, they are not nearly as they're way more French, I think, than they are North American. Yeah. And that's probably
it's like,
but then basketball's big in Europe, so who knows?
It's one of those things where, like, they tried basketball in Toronto and Vancouver, but they didn't try it in Montreal. They did baseball in Toronto and Montreal, but didn't do it in Vancouver. Why? Oh.
See, I think Vancouver would be a great spot for a major league team. Like, if you're going to move the Rays, which I think they should, move them to Vancouver. I think it would be a good spot. Plus, the riots, if they happen to get to the World Series and lose, would be fantastic. Better weather, the whole bit. But yeah, it's good. I think it'll be fun. I'm really pulling for the Raptors. I hope it's not just another steamrolling job by the Warriors. I'd really love to see the Raptors at least make it competitive. And, boy, if they could win this thing, that'd be the greatest. Plus, they've just got that logo would make such a cool design for a ring. The claw with the basketball.
I mean, yeah, but I I still miss the dribbling dinosaur.
Can they bust those out in the finals? I mean,
they laid out. Everybody put out the uniforms they're going to be wearing.
Did they put out the schedule?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the NBA, so like there are no rules about what uniforms you could wear, but I don't think they're going to be going with the classic dino, dribbling basketball.
I'm going to try to find the.
I know Golden State's going with the
because that's very important. I remember last year we talked about it. Yeah, last year when we did that, they kept wearing that stupid gray uniform that nobody cared for.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, where's
I will never, as much fun as it was watching the Cavs win and beat them in 16. They had to do it in what I think might be the worst basketball uniforms of all time. Not just for the Cavs, but for anybody. Those black things with that giant horrific C on the middle of the jersey. Oh my God!
So the way it's going to go,
of course they're going to win wearing these because of course it's Cleveland.
Games 1 and 2 in Toronto are the Raptors in their white uniforms, and then the Warriors are in the icon uniforms. Which, thank you NBA thread for not telling me which one that is.
I don't know what that means. What does that mean?
Aren't they the black version of the city uniforms or whatever?
I don't know.
I don't know. Let me see if somebody decided to actually explain which one is which.
God damn it! Why does this have to be so complicated?
Here's the when it's guys like us, uniform geeks that can't figure this shit out, probably telling you went too far. We're like going, what does that mean? I don't understand that. That means you've really gone off the reservation because we don't even know what you're talking about.
Again, it's just like why can't you just tell me, like, use jersey colors or something?
There you go.
The icon is just the blue.
Yes.
Regular blue jerseys. Why can't you just say that? Okay. So game 1 and 2 is white versus blue, Raptors versus Warriors. Game 3, Warriors are wearing the white jersey. The Raptors are wearing their red North jerseys.
Oh, I hate those.
Yeah, but we're the North, baby. You got to represent.
Just wear the regular road uniforms, Jesus.
I still love your idea of them going blue and white like the Blue Jays. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah.
It would look so good.
Game 4 would be the town versus the North.
Oh,
that's the greatest.
Well, we already had the land, the town versus the land, right?
Yes, right.
Yeah, so now we have the town versus the North.
And then maybe the Wizards can get into it like next year, and we can have the town versus the district, and just.
I was at a TJ Maxx store a couple weeks back, and they're hanging there in the double extra large section where they put like T-shirts and stuff. Was the land jersey. And I thought, if that thing's at a price I can live with, I'm buying it. But they wanted $65 for it. I said, there's no way.
Oh.
I'm not paying that much for that stupid-ass thing.
Again, the town is the gray one with the tree on it.
Why are they wearing
a tree?
You're the Warriors. Be blue
well,
and...
That's the thing that's... So basically, every game in Toronto, according to this, games 1, 2, 5, and 7 are all white versus blue.
That'll look good.
Game 3 is white versus red North. And then games 4 and 6 are the town versus the North. So, in theory, if the Warriors are to win this thing at home,
stupid.
If the Warriors win this title at home,
mm-hmm.
either in a sweep or in 6, they'll be wearing their gray the town jerseys, which I guess is I think I get what they're doing, because one way or another,
do you?
One way or another, these are the Warriors' last games in Oakland, which is the town. That's why they wear them. So maybe it's some sort of tribute to Oakland that they would win their final title in Oakland in the town jerseys before they move across the bay to San Francisco.
Well, see, here's my question. Can a team be both the town and the city? Because that's kind of what the Warriors are.
Well, that's what they will be. No, well, because the yellow ones that they've worn this year say the Bay.
Oh, okay.
So when they move to San Francisco, I would assume the town jersey comes out of the rotation and they get a new the city jersey.
Yeah, because that's not pretentious at all. The city.
I mean, it's what people say in the Bay Area. It's like, where are you going? I'm headed into the city. But that, I mean, you say that, people would say that about New York City.
Yeah.
Like if you lived in somewhere on Long Island, I'm going into the city today.
Yeah. Does any place else do that? Like, do they do that in Toronto?
Toronto's TO or the six or the 6 or T dot.
Yeah, why can't we get the town versus the 6? Why does Toronto have to claim all of Canada? Can't they be more local?
Yeah,
I don't know the answer.
I just don't hear, like, nobody ever says, like, we're going into the city. Oh, we're gonna get in the car and head to the city. We're going to Cleveland or Toledo or wherever. I don't know. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But
does how long until Draymond Green elbows Drake on the sidelines?
Oh,
just fights him.
It has to be in Toronto. So game 2.
He better keep his hands off of the global ambassador.
The global ambassador for fun.
Mm-hmm. Drake is pissing off so many people just by being excited for his favorite team. It's like, I get it. It's different because they gave him that stupid title and he's on the sidelines and he goes over and like rubs the coach's shoulders. But like,
yeah.
How is Drake really any different than Jack Nicholson?
Mm-hmm. Well, like, he's more demonstrative.
Right. Well, I mean, that's the thing. He's a famous guy that can afford courtside seats to his favorite team.
Or Spike Lee, for that matter.
Like, what do you want? Like, if I was extra successful, I guess it's different in hockey just because sitting on the glass really isn't that great of a seat to have.
No, it's pretty bad seats, actually.
The Ducks do well, I guess they wouldn't sell it during the playoffs because Pierre would be there, but the Ducks they reorganized their benches so that the Pierre box in between the benches can be removed or during when there's not a need for a between the benches reporter, they take it out and they actually put seats in there that they sell at an exorbitant price. But
yeah, back to your original point. I don't know what makes Drake any different than Spike Lee or Jack Nicholson or, I don't know. Who are some of the other famous?
I'll tell you what it is. Success breeds jealousy.
Yeah, this is true. But I've also read that the Drake curse has been lifted, that they've beaten it, so that's good.
There's that. There's that.
True.
But like, yeah, like seriously, why is Drake gotten all this? I don't understand.
It's because he's Drake. Like, people like making fun of Drake. I think.
Why?
Because he's goofy. Because he's kind of goofy, Like, he treats himself as like a very serious hardcore rapper, right? But he also got his start on Degrassi.
Okay. No. We're not making fun of Degrassi is a cultural institution in the great nation of Canada.
Yeah, but it doesn't exactly.
I won't tolerate.
It doesn't exactly scream NWA or Public Enemy or Run DMC either. Just saying.
Yeah, like, I think the thing is, like, Drake's just corny. He's a little corny.
Nothing wrong with that.
They're right. There's nothing terribly wrong with that, but it also makes you easy to make fun of. And the other thing is, Drake responds to all this stuff, right? So, like, he won't just leave it alone. Like, he's a guy that's thrown diss tracks back and forth with so many people at this point that he responds to every little slight, like, so personally. So,
look,
if you want to try to – it's just fun to fight with him.
Look, Drake is – when Drake opened up I believe it was a store in Yorkville Mall, just outside of Toronto, the opening of that store had so many people it shut down the rest of the mall. All right, Toronto loves Drake. So y'all better respect that and leave Drake alone. All right.
Okay. Drake, a powerful man.
And if he wants to rub the coach's shoulders, to help him relax and get in the zone, then Drake's gonna do that.
All right, more power to Drake, baby. Go get him, Drake.
It was also today that I learned that Drake's clothing company, OVO, actually sponsors the Raptors training facility.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, I was like, wow, that's pretty impressive. Putting his money where his mouth is.
It's kind of a lame name for a rapper, though, Drake. I mean, to be honest about it, you know.
Well, it's his real name's Aubrey.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well.
Well, yeah. It's Aubrey something. What's Drake's real name? Come on. He is Aubrey Drake is his middle name. Graham. So he goes
so that's his real name.
Yeah.
That's cool. Name. No, I think, you know what? Graham. If the guy's having fun and the fans dig it and the team's cool with it, then what's the problem? You know? Why be bashing on him? I mean, but that's the thing. In this culture, everything's going to get bashed on no matter how harmless it is. You're still going to find that asshole out there somewhere that's going to have something bad to say about it, and that's just the world we live in.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can make fun of him, and just remember that he was Jimmy Brooks, and he was a basketball star who became physically disabled after he was shot in Degrassi. So,
wow. Indeed.
They went that heavy on that show?
Yeah.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, Degrassi. Perhaps a bit deeper than you thought.
Well, that was a little after my time, Degrassi. I was not, no, I didn't know that.
It was technically Degrassi, The Next Generation.
Yeah.
Well, kind of like Star Trek, The Next Generation. It got a little deeper and darker, yeah.
Drake appeared in 145 episodes, and he was quoted as saying about his early acting career, "My mother was very sick. We were very poor, like broke. The only money I had coming in was off of Canadian TV."
Well, that's a sad story.
Yeah.
My only money was coming in from my TV show. I don't know that I'm getting too teared up over that.
It was Canadian TV. Let's not act like it was.
So anyway, on the series itself, guys, before we move on to something else here, so what are our thoughts? What do we think?
I want to stand with the North. I just
do it.
No, I can't, Mike. It's just
okay.
The Warriors are this Death Star that until some team truly finds that exhaust port, I can't believe that they're going to go down. So I got to say Warriors in 6.
6, huh?
I'll give the Raptors a couple games at home.
I think that the Warriors, although I got to go back for a second. I was reading up on some of this today, and I love the description someone used of the Warriors playing the Blazers in the Western Conference Finals, which was essentially that they treated those 4 games like they were an inconvenience. Like, that's just how one-sided it was. But that being said, I think that the Warriors are going to underestimate the Raptors a little bit. I think the Raptors are going to steal the first 2 at home, and that's going to put them on the path to winning this series with Kawhi Leonard doing a very LeBron-esque style Game 7, and they take this thing at home, and the Toronto Raptors are your new world champions in the NBA. There you have it. I'm taking the Raptors in 7.
Look. I can't abandon my team this far in. We the North.
Yep.
We the North.
You the North.
We the North. Kawhi Leonard will ascend to godhood. And
what's the greatest civilian honor in Canada?
It's called the Order of Canada.
The Tim Hortons Order of Canada.
It's the Order of Canada. It is. I was mistaken. Order of Canada is only the second highest civilian award that you can be awarded. The top one is the Order of Merit, but the Order of Merit can only be given personally by the Queen.
Oh, well.
Now, tell me Her Majesty dropping by to give Kawhi Leonard an award after winning the NBA title would not be one of the all-time great sports moments. Come on. How awesome would that be?
And then, yeah. Oh, man, that would be amazing. But, yeah, no, like, look, they're 2-0 against the Warriors in the season. They have a better regular season record. There's a reason they've got home court advantage. And I think that the Golden State Warriors, I think they're as weak as they've ever been.
Wow,
so,
that's not saying a lot, man. I hate to say it, but
Mike, I just want to throw one more stat at you with all this. But
yeah.
Yes, the Raptors are 2-0 against the Warriors this season.
Yes.
Steph Curry in his career against the Warriors is 15-2.
Yeah. Well, we know where those two came from, so.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. What have you done for me lately?
So what do you think, Mike? So you picking your boys or what?
I got to pick we the North. We that ride or die to the very end. This has been a hell of a run. Best Toronto Raptors season of all time, easily. Even if Kawhi, even if you leave next year, thank you for everything. But we're not at that point yet. We're at there's still one more series to play, and I think they can do it. We the North, Toronto Raptors, new NBA champions of the world of basketball, and we finally bring it home.
I'll probably talk about the hockey, I guess.
Yeah, okay. I'm pretty discouraged already, I have to say. Not a lot of hope.
I'm right there with you. I mean, after the first period of game one, it looked like, hey, the Blues, look at you, playing hard, getting goals. Hey, Boston screwed up again. It's 2-0. Look at this. The Blues are going to get game one in Boston, and we might be on our way to something cool. Oh, what's that? The Blues stopped playing, and the Bruins just dominated them for the rest of the game and got away with some dirty plays?
Okay. The Bruins got away with dirty plays? No way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of hope for this. I got to be honest. I would not be a bit surprised if it's yet another sweep of the St. Louis Blues in the Stanley Cup Final.
I don't think it's going to be a sweep. I think the Blues are going to be better than that this time. But yeah, it's not a promising start.
Well, I told Mike before we started, I went on NHL.com to look to see what had happened, who won the game. And the first thing I saw was a picture of, what's the guy's name? Krug? Is that right?
Torrey Krug, yeah.
Yeah, and it was a shot of him, like, shoving a Blues player to the ice. And I thought, well, that pretty well sums it up right there. I think that's the whole series in a nutshell.
Yeah, I mean, the penalties are not the reason that game wasn't out of hand.
No, but it was just like, he was just like shoving him out of the way, like, you puny little thing, you are of no consequence to us whatsoever, is the way it looked.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like, it really wasn't unlike the series that the Bruins played against the Blue Jackets, right? Mm-hmm. Where the Blue Jackets came out hard, and then Boston adjusted and ended up winning the game. I don't know, man. It's just it's tough to say. I think the Blues have a little bit more fight in them than that to go down that easily, but
Well, keep in mind too that
it is the St. Louis Blues,
right? So. Keep in mind too that the Raptors were down 2-0 to the Bucks. Everybody thought the Bucks were going to win that series, and you never know.
And the Blues were down to the Sharks, and the Blues had to battle it out with Dallas.
Well, let's go all the way back. The Blues were in dead last place, and here they are.
Right.
Yeah. So anything can happen.
They're clearly not done, but because by the time this comes out, it could be a tie series. Who knows?
It could be, or it could be they're down 2-0.
Yeah, And if they go down 2-0, I might
They're
just
done.
call it right there.
Yeah, they're done.
But
They got to split or they're done. I think.
Yeah.
How did Rask play in game 1?
He only made 18 saves.
Oh.
Because the Blues only generated 18 shots. or 20 shots, I guess, total, because they scored the 2 goals. But the Bruins had 18 shots in the second period.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's an area of concern for sure. It really, what happened was the Blues came out a little bit more physical and they were ready to go. The Bruins had obviously been the team that was sitting on the bench for 11 days. And the Blues took the lead, as they should have. And then Boston said, hey, what the hell are we doing? And then dominated the next half of the game and pulled it out. So I don't even know what to say just because it was so – I could have – if you had told me like the Bruins were going to win game 1, that's kind of how I would have thought that they would have.
Okay.
Where they would come out slow, the Blues might have an early jump, but then the Bruins were going to come back and win it. Like, the Blues had to get that game because of just the momentum of it all. Like,
Right.
If the Bruins sit around for 11 days and you're a team that is playing well because you've been battling it out for a while and you can steal those early games, it's almost like the way the Blue Jackets and Lightning played each other, where the Lightning had been in cruise control, right, and they hadn't been doing anything, where the Jackets were battling, and they came out playing hard and swept them right away, right? Same thing with the Bruins. They've been sitting around doing nothing for a few days, and the Blues were up 2-0. They had the opportunity to keep rolling through, and then the Bruins woke up and won it, and now everyone knows that there is no advantages anymore, is basically what they say.
No, that pretty much killed that. Yeah, the rust versus rust thing was right out the window. But I think St. Louis, they've got to get the split in Boston, or they're in deep trouble. I really believe that. Because these things, it can just get away from you so fast. You know, you lose the first 2. Next thing you know, if Boston comes in and wins the third one, now you're down 3-0 before you even knew what the hell happened, and then the series is over essentially. That's why the split's so important, and we'll see tomorrow night if they can pull it off. I hope so, because I really don't want the Bruins to win. The more I watch of them, the less I like them. And I'm not even that big of a fan of their uniforms anymore. They got nice uniforms, but you know what? Fuck them too. Yeah, Mike, I understand where you're coming from, believe me.
Fuck Boston.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Mike, you know that like Toronto was up and they weren't.
Yeah.
And then it all went away.
Yeah. Yeah, it did. It did.
I have to assume that even if the Bruins win the first 2, I think St. Louis will get a lot of energy coming back home for their first Cup final games in 49 years. And really the first Cup final they've been legitimately in.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the first, 2 or 3 were,
The first 3 were all a sham.
Right.
Like, they were there because they happened to be the best of the rest of the dung heap that was the expansion team of the 67 double up. But I say that, but then at the end of the day, it probably doesn't matter because it's just Boston's world, and
we're just living in it.
We're just living in it.
Again, like the Bruins have a statue to like the Blues failure,
right,
outside of their arena. Like,
oh yeah, do you think they showed that clip during Game 1?
Oh yeah.
How many times would be my question?
A lot.
Yeah, more than once.
More than was probably necessary.
Hey, did you know the Blues lost to Bobby Orr? Like, yeah.
It was immortalized in a photograph, and now a statue.
Bobby Orr by himself defeated the St. Louis Blues.
Yeah. I think the story behind that picture is that it looks like he was celebrating, but he was actually falling down when they took that shot, and it just turned out that way. Like he wasn't like diving. Like yes, he was like celebrating.
He wasn't tripped. People think he was like tripped on the way to the goal.
No, that's just the way he was just like falling, like diving, and I don't know how it happened, but yeah. But it was a great shot. I mean, they definitely got it right at the perfect point to get it. But I don't know.
Again, I think we have to really, at the end of the day, pay our respects to the Milwaukee Bucks.
Okay.
For helping us avoid the four-peat.
Oh, right, yes.
Yes, absolutely.
So, again, apologies to them for losing to the North, but we do give you great commemoration for defeating the Celtics and saving us from, the true end of days that we had all been fearing.
No, like if that was like I said, if that had happened, I would have just moved to an Orthodox Jewish community in Israel and divorced myself from the world and just been no.
Every once in a while, Mike would pop up watching Team Israel on the World Baseball Classic, and that's the last we'd ever see of him.
Yeah, I'd just be no, I need to go away. I can't. I tried looking for meaning in the outside world, and it just hurt me.
Though, guys, and I don't want to rain on the parade here, but if the Warriors do kind of get a little bit disassembled in the offseason here, and Boston pulls their act back together, and the Celtics, I mean, there is a real chance we could get the four-peat or the Grand Slam of Boston titles next year. Because the Patriots are going to be right there. I'm not even going to try to argue against it anymore. The Red Sox are going to be right in the second of it.
Did they get back on track?
I think they were in third last I checked.
It doesn't. We're not even at the All-Star break. There's no
right. Yeah. So
I know the standings don't matter, but
not too much to be concerned about. Let me see where they are.
Trying to cling on to hope.
Let me see where they are here. And so if the Celtics can pull it together, because I don't know though. Here's the thing. Let's take Golden State out of the picture for a second. Does that mean that any team in the East would have any easier time with, say, a Houston or a Portland or maybe even a Denver? I mean, maybe those teams are just really good.
Oh yeah,
I think so.
Okay,
I mean, it would be at least more competitive.
Boston is they're 6.5 games out of first right now. They're 29-25.
Oh, so they're winning the division by 15 games, is what you're saying?
More or less, yeah.
Great.
They're chasing the Yankees in Tampa Bay. So they're at least going to be in a wild card spot because I don't see them. The Tampa Bay, I don't know if they can keep this up all year, and Boston will just go out and buy whatever they need at the deadline, and that'll be it. So, yeah, it could happen. It could happen.
Well, I mean,
look at the Minnesota Twins. Jesus, how'd that happen? Do they have the best record? They have the best record in the American League.
It's a mirage.
Greg, I don't know, man.
How did that happen?
Again, I don't know. I can't even name you a Minnesota Twin.
Byron Buxton. Joe Mauer. Sure. Joe Mauer, right?
Is he still on the team?
Pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah, okay. But have you considered the Pilgrims and their rocky soil and Ray Bork?
Hey, Minnesota's got those winners, so you know what? Screw Ray Bork.
Yeah, but does Minnesota have duck boats that are just waiting to be used? Speaking of hockey and elsewhere, by the way, shout out to the Finnish national team.
Oh, okay.
Finland knocked off Canada for the gold medal at the World Championships over the weekend. Finland had 2 players with NHL experience, a total of 13 games between the two of them. And they somehow knocked off the Swedes, the Russians, and the Canadians on their way to the gold medal.
So I'm going to guess that's a pretty big upset?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, and the Canadian team is all NHLers. It's not top string guys, but it's still pretty good. They still the final. But yeah, Finland. Big deal for them. The World Championships mean so much more to the European countries than they do to even Canada. Just because it's over here we're all paying attention to the Cup final. Cool, World Championships, whatever. But the Europeans, it's a big deal for them.
Well, good for Finland then. You think a place with that much cold and snow, they should be good at hockey.
Yeah, they're actually on a good run. The women's team had some success the last tournament that they were in, and the junior team won world title. Was it this year or last year, something like that? So
yeah, I don't know what else you'd celebrate in Finland. What the hell do they even do over there? What do you do in Finland?
They really like their saunas, actually.
Right.
I would imagine so. It's like 8 degrees every day there. So yeah, sauna's gonna feel pretty nice, I bet.
And according to one, I guess, kind of like Daily Show, kind of comedic news show that they have over there, there is exactly one black person in Finland, and he gives his weekly reports. But yeah, no, they like their saunas and they like their hockey, and the Finns are good people. I got nothing against the Finns. Yeah. I do think it's great. That thing that Zach drew attention to, though, that game, Finnish or Star Wars, where you just say a name and have to guess if it's a Finnish person or a character from Star Wars.
Yeah, that.
Also, fun fact about Finland. Ethnically and linguistically, they are actually distinct from their Scandinavian neighbors.
Oh.
Sweden, Denmark, and Norway are all Nordic, which is a branch of the Germanic ethno-linguistic tree.
Okay.
Finns are not Nordic. They don't even come from the Germanic ethno-linguistic tree. They are actually related. They're actually closer related to Hungarians.
So they're aliens, basically.
Well, they're Hungarian. They're snow Hungarians, essentially.
Wow, I didn't know that. I really would have guessed. In all seriousness, I would have figured that they were just part of the whole Denmark, Sweden, that whole group. Yeah.
No, their languages are actually quite different. Like Finns have a hard time learning Swedish and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like they can all learn English pretty. Like every Finnish player in the league, they all take English up until a certain, like, into high school.
Oh, some of these guys that you see, in sports, like, in the NHL or whatever, they speak better English than Tank does.
Peter Forsberg never had an accent. Like, he sounded like an American guy.
Yeah, who was I? It was the guy that won the Indianapolis 500 on Sunday, Simon Pagino. He's a
French guy.
Yeah, and I mean, he barely had an accent, which I was pretty impressed by, but.
But yeah,
well, see, that's a good education system, though. That's how you do it.
But yeah, the Finnish language is actually closer related to Hungarian than anything else.
I would have never guessed that in a million years. There you go. You learn something every week on this show, whether you want to or not.
Finland is a democracy with a constitution.
Good.
They're a parliamentary republic.
Interesting thing about that, actually, they had a civil war, much like the Russians did, between the anti-communist whites and the pro-communist reds. Unlike Russia, the whites won.
Where did the black guy fall on all of it?
I don't think he was there yet, but
okay.
but as a result of the anti-communists winning the Finnish Civil War, they actually invited a German prince to be king of Finland. And he accepted. The reason why Finland is not a monarchy is because shortly after he accepted, Germany lost World War I, and all of the German princes abdicated their royal and imperial titles, and he didn't think it would be appropriate to take up the crown of another country.
Wow. So
Finland became a republic, but they were originally going to be a monarchy. As a result, there is actually a royal crown of Finland that was made, but it's never been used. But they do keep it on display.
Well, how about that?
The world's biggest cruise ships are built in Finnish shipyards.
Norwegian Cruise Lines? No, that's Finland. No, never mind. Sorry. Never mind.
That's Norway.
Norway. Yeah, wrong. I was only off by, an entire fucking country, but that's okay.
Post World War II, they focused their economy on the metal industry and the forest industry. But in recent years, they've expanded into the paper and pulp industry, as well as electronics like Nokia, and information technology like the company that made Angry Birds.
Wow, there you go.
Yeah.
Your weekly lesson in Finnish history and commerce here on Basically a Sports Show, because that's what we do. That's what we do, folks.
Yeah,
you think we're just a sports show? Oh, no. We can do so much more.
We are basically a sports show.
Basically a sports show, right. And you're getting a lot of the basically right now, which is fine. I like when we go off the board and do the basically stuff. I do.
Up until the end of World War I, Finland was a province of the Russian Empire.
I did not know that either.
They asserted their independence when the communists overthrew the Russian imperial system and had a little civil war of their own. But for the longest time, the czars of Russia were also Grand Dukes of Finland. So, there's that. Finland's kind of a neat place with a weird language. And
they love metal music.
I was going to make a joke, and you said that their industry was metal. I was going to say, the music, not the steel or whatever. Yeah. Oh yeah, they're way into it.
Him and Nightwish, Children of Bodom.
Isn't
Terasis, which is a favorite of mine, actually.
Is the band Crocus from Finland? I know they're from one of the Scandinavian countries.
They are not listed on this thing that I am looking at.
Okay, also, they're way into it, man.
Also, interesting thing, Finland, known with their blue and white flag, almost had a red and gold flag. So
I just looked up their flag because I thought, if memory serves, Finland has a cool flag, and I was right, they do. But the red and gold was not bad either. Yeah. Well, how about that?
Finland has the world's highest per capita consumption of coffee, as well as the world's highest per capita consumption of milk.
I believe,
even though 70% of the Finns are lactose intolerant.
I believe, maybe I'm thinking of a different one, but I'm pretty sure that they have their correction facilities over there are way different than the way we do things here.
Oh yeah,
like
sure.
they actually, if it's Finland, I'm thinking of it. It might be Sweden or someone else, but when you go to
in
prison,
the 2019 World Happiness Report, Finland is the world's happiest country for the second straight year.
Yeah, and with all that snow and cold and shit, and they're still happy. There's some tough brothers right there, man.
Look, the Finns, they do their own thing.
They're wonderful people.
Finland is a land of wonder, and just everyone is happy.
Can you see the northern lights there?
I'm sure you can.
Yeah.
Well, then there you go.
Finland is above the Arctic Circle, I believe. So, yeah.
Oh,
and then they love hockey and
heavy metal.
Rally car racing and heavy metal.
I'm trying to see.
And I think the guy that now plays Chewbacca is Finnish also. Jonas Suitomo.
Anyway, back to the prison thing I was going to talk about. Yeah, they do this. You're actually put in prison there to be rehabilitated. Mm-hmm. And they do like. There was a good documentary about it. I can't remember. It was on Netflix. But anyway, I mean, they really rehabilitate these people. It's not like you're just in there and being treated like shit. I mean, they take classes, they learn trades, they do all this stuff, and they come out on the other side better people. There's a lot to be learned from Finland, is I guess my point.
Finland is a land of wonder.
Land of wonder. Land of wonder and enchantment. Finland. This portion of Basically a Sports Show brought to you by the Chamber of Commerce of Finland. So anyway.
The Finnish Tourism.
The Finnish Tourism Board, right?
By the way, when those wildfires were happening in California?
Finnish people put them out.
No. Well, it just so happened that Trump was visiting with the president of Finland at the time, and he was asked about the wildfires, and he's like, in California, they do such a bad job preparing for the fires. In Finland, they do all of this stuff, and we should do that there. And
they rake the forest.
And the president of Finland was just like, I actually never said that. I just said we have very good preparedness measures. Like, it's like
yeah. According to Donald Trump, they rake the forest floor for leaves and stuff.
Yeah, and the president.
So a bunch of Finns then took to social media, showing videos of them like raking and vacuuming the forest.
But it was great though, because Trump made an ass of himself. He's like, oh, the Finns do this, and the president of Finland's like, we do not do that.
God. And I don't want to get political, but then I look at the 2020 field and I go, we got nobody that can beat him. Sorry. Just don't. Biden, maybe. That's it. So, anyway, we got anything else, fellas, we want to get into? Let's see. I got my list. I thought we should talk a little bit about Bill Buckner and Bart Starr real quick that passed away over the weekend. Yeah. With Buckner, just the whole thing. I think I even put this on Twitter and on Facebook that the first line of his obituary was going to be Game 6 of the '86 World Series, and it was, of course, because that's what he's most well known for. But I just want to point out that the guy was like a career 290 hitter. He had 2,700 base hits, and I think he won like 7 Silver Slugger awards, a batting championship, I think. Pretty good fielder. And the most times, and in this era of baseball, this is really going to sound absurd, but the most he ever struck out in a single season, 39 times in a season with like a 500 bat normal season. 39 strikeouts, that was it. In this age of home runs and strikeouts, and that's all there is, because baseball fucking sucks now. But anyway, it does. I'm sorry. It's terrible.
It is kind of sad that that's the way he's going to be remembered.
Yeah, and I think that's just unfair. I really do, because he was a really good ball player. But I know, but it was also one of the most iconic moments in baseball history. You can't get around that. I just ask that when you talk about that, you also throw in that he was also a pretty good ball player. And really, the way he handled all that, I don't know that he could have done it with any more class and grace than the way he did over the years. Really, So. And then and Bart Starr, former Green Bay Packer, and I believe the MVP of one of the first 2 Super Bowls also passed away. So, Yep. We will call it a night on that. And remind you that you can follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports. Subscribe via iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, and the YouTubes. And, of course, as always, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
Later.
See you.